nonstop, day in and day out for a year. Now we have the news that the Mueller probe is not, they leak pretty regularly. They're not leaking anything about Russia collusion. They're leaking about obstruction. And the media are just taking that and running with it as if they are the dutiful servants of the Mueller probe, instead of thinking about how the story that they have been pitching for a year is...
Well, and I think that, you know, that...
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. As you doubtless know, the most controversial document in America remains totally mysterious. It's only 4 pages long. It is classified. That means while many are talking about it, and they are, virtually nobody has actually read it. It's a memo. It's prepared by the House Intelligence Committee, and apparently it describes surveillance of American citizens in this country by our own intelligence and law enforcement agencies. Several Republicans who have seen the document say it exposes massive and terrifying abuses of our civil liberties, presumably committed for political gain. They say the memo shows how the Obama administration used the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act not to protect this country from foreign threats like terror, which is its purpose, but to spy on rival campaigns, the Trump campaign in particular, and to create a pretext for the current independent counsel investigation, the one that has mesmerized our political class and all but paralyzed our government, going on over a year. Even today, the president was responding to questions about it. Watch.
One more quick one. Do you believe Robert Mueller?
I only repeat for the purposes of making sure you understand.
One more quick one.
You fail. You have to almost fail so many times.
Do you think Robert Mueller will be fair to you in this larger investigation?
We're going to find out.
Are you concerned about it?
Because here's what we'll say, and everybody says, no collusion. There's no collusion. Now they're saying, oh, well, did he fight back? If you fight back, you say, obstruction. Sir, you fight back, John. You fight back. Oh, it's obstruction. So here's the thing. I hope so.
So how do you define collusion? And Maggie asked this earlier during the briefing to Sarah. But
you're going to define it for me, okay? But I can tell you, there's no collusion. I couldn't have cared less about Russians having to do with my campaign.
It's all we talk about in Washington, pretty much. So if it turns out that this whole investigation is a politically motivated sham, that'll be newsworthy. In the words of one sitting member of Congress, quote, when this memo comes out, people will go to jail. Now, those are strong words. Is the memo that damning? Honestly, we don't know. We have no idea. Like pretty much everyone else in Washington, we haven't read a single word of it. But we certainly take the idea seriously, and why wouldn't we? The most destabilizing thing any government can do is use law enforcement as a political weapon. That's when the police become the secret police. And suddenly you're no longer living in a free country. It happens all the time in other places. Our founders were worried about that happening here. The rest of us ought to be worried too. A rogue FBI is a far bigger threat to you and your family than any buffoonish tweet from the Oval Office. It actually matters. It could wreck everything we've built here. So this is not a story we ought to ignore. The public deserves to know, needs to know what's in that memo. This is our government. We have a right to know if it's representing us or if it's lying to our faces. If there's corruption, expose that corruption. Transparency is the only antidote. Now, you'd think everyone would agree with that sentiment. Pretty commonplace. And by the way, when you think about it, what exactly is the counter-argument against that? Secrecy is good? People shouldn't know if their government is corrupt? More darkness and deception, please. Even in Washington, you can't say those things out loud, though many would like to, trust me. So instead, Democrats on the Hill and their many handmaidens in the media have a new argument. You're not allowed to know what's in that memo because Russia. Seriously, that is the case they are now making, as of yesterday. Senator Dianne Feinstein and Congressman Adam Schiff, Democrats both from the state of California, are warning that if you want to read that document, that memo, which, by the way, was prepared...
I love that summer feeling. I don't want it ever leaving. Breathing in the sky that's so clear. I can spend my whole life right here. I love that summer feeling. Now I'm here, I'm never leaving. Everything is possible right here. I love that summer feeling. Now I'm here, I'm never leaving.
Happiness is calling at sandiego.org.
By the U.S. government for American lawmakers, you are somehow in league with the Vladimir Putin regime. Yesterday, those two sent a letter to the CEOs of Facebook and Twitter claiming that calls to release the memo are, quote, an ongoing attack by the Russian government through Kremlin-linked social media actors directly acting to intervene and influence our democratic process, end quote. Got that? Anyone asking for more transparency from this government, and that would include elected members of Congress and this show, among others, anyone who's doing that is participating in a foreign propaganda campaign that hurts America. In other words, they're traitors. The implication of Schiff and Feinstein's letter is that Twitter and Facebook ought to do something to help, by the way, quickly. Like, I don't know, censor the accounts of anyone who wants to see the memo. You'd think the media might have a big problem with all of this. For centuries, the American press has fought efforts by politicians and those in power to hide unflattering information about themselves. That was noble work. It's the reason that the press is mentioned in the First Amendment. But they're not doing that anymore. On television today, you heard famous anchors make the opposite case. They suggested that calls to release the memo are simply tactics by right-wing crazies and Vladimir Putin to undermine America because they're unpatriotic. And that's when you knew it was over, the long and worthy tradition of journalists as watchdogs, holding the powerful to account. Turns out that journalists have switched teams. They're with the powerful now. They'd like you to shut the hell up.
Okay, well, really quick addendum from the previous story we just covered. My friend Gordon, who is a freshman at UConn, just said, I wasn't able to get into the Shapiro event either. Everyone wanted to go. More conservatives on campus than people think. Thank you, Gordo. By the way, the Justice Department is asking to see a memo reportedly outlining serious wrongdoing at the FBI and Justice Department under President Obama. House Intel Chairman Devin Nunes is taking steps to declassify the memo summarizing the findings of his Russia investigation. Well, a letter from the Justice Department charges that it would be extraordinarily reckless tonight to release the memo without first giving the DOJ and FBI the opportunity to review it. Let's sort this all out with someone who's read the memo, Congressman Peter King of New York. I thought you were going to be here tonight with me, Congressman, who serves on the Intel Committee. Great to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Laura. How are you?
I'm great. So what is the Justice Department, the FBI? They're suddenly all squirrely about the release of this memo. What goes on?
This memo is a 4-page memo put together by a very talented professional.
Fund requesting for a spontaneous tattoo dare can go from, wouldn't it be funny if, to, I can't believe they did it, thanks to request money via Interac e-transfer.
Staff on the committee, reviewed by all the Republican members, made available to all the members of the committee, and voted out of the committee last week to be made available to all the members of the House. The findings in here are very, very significant, showing, I believe, either terrible mistakes or deliberate wrongdoing at high levels. And right now, the Justice Department, and what Devin Nunes plans on doing, because over 200 members of the House have looked at it, only about 10 Democrats, by the way, and there is a clamor by the public to see the memo. We're going to make sure there's nothing in there, any small item that may reveal a source or a method, and that is pretty much finished. That'll be done. And then we're going to vote this week on releasing it. At that stage, if we get a majority vote, which we will, it will go to the President of the United States. He will decide if it can be made public or not. If he does, it will be made known to the public. This letter from the Justice Department, Laura, listen, I have great respect for the FBI. I generally have great respect for the Justice Department, but we have gotten almost no cooperation from them at all over the last several months. We had to go to court to get documents we were entitled to. Long, hard fights to get basic documents which we have an absolute right to see. And now, the Justice Department, if we gave them this memo, what they would do is it'd be passed out to all their friends in the media to tear it down before it even gets out there. Everything that's in that memo is from the Justice Department, information we found. There's no surprises there to them. They just want to be ready, I think, to attack it, and they want to attack it, make a preemptive attack on it. We're not going to let them. I understand. I've not spoken to Devin, but I've spoken to his staff people tonight, and he fully intends to go ahead. We're not going to show it to the Justice Department.
Congressman, knowing what you know now, you've read the memo, you've seen the evidence so far. Do you have faith, as of now, in the upcoming results of this investigation, knowing what you know now and what you've seen?
Well, I've sat through, I don't know, whether it's hundreds of hours. I mean, I've been in there for probably 20 witnesses who have come before our committee, and certainly all the major ones have sat there for 7, 8, 9 hours. Again, all the big names you've heard about, I've been there for that. I have not heard one word yet indicating any collusion. Now, I don't know if Bob Mueller has anything else, but he's talking to many of the same people. So if they come out with any finding of collusion at all, based on what I've heard, then I would say that they're not doing the job. But on the other hand, I think right now, I believe the president's lawyers feel this is going in the right direction with all the improprieties that went on here. The fact that this investigation, I believe, should never, ever been started in the first place. I look upon it either intentionally or unintentionally as a political hit job. I mean, we're losing facts. Aside the fact here that you have the leading law enforcement organization in the world investigating a threat.
Reflect what drives you. The 2018 Lexus NX.
Presidential candidate based on the flimsiest of evidence. I wouldn't even call it evidence. On the flimsiest rumors. That's what this was based on. And that's a terrible precedent to set. You can do that to any candidate if you wanted to. And when you bring the FBI into a political campaign, it's wrong.
Well, I want to play for you a clip I watched this afternoon of a former RNC chief, Michael Steele. He was on MSNBC, and he was criticizing Congress and anyone in the media who would cast aspersions on the FBI here. Let's watch.
We have now set up a wholesale operation between the White House and Capitol Hill to sully the reputation of good men and women who work inside the FBI because of, as you noted, Howard, some emails. Yes, they're problematic, but let the appropriate authorities ferret that out. To do what they're doing, the end game they're playing right now, what they don't seem to understand, it could blow up in their face just as much as it could sully the FBI.
Response, Congressman.
We are talking about a handful of people at the top. The FBI is an outstanding organization. There are people at the top that have not served the FBI well. And I would say the rank and file of the FBI appreciates what we're doing because they are concerned. I mean, I've heard from retired FBI people who are shocked about what's coming out. And to me, the emails, the text messages, that's all important. That's really just an indication of this investigation from the start should never have been started. It's based on a false premise, and that's continued right through. And whether we're talking about the FBI, whether we're talking about John Brennan at the CIA and others, this to me has all been a concerted effort to go after Donald Trump. Listen, you have a lot of reasons you can disagree with Donald Trump, but to say that he was colluding with the enemy when there's no evidence there, to me, is shameful. And it's going on now. I think it's significant that now it's being leaked in the New York Times. We're talking about obstruction of justice, about events that happened 6 months after the campaign was over. The campaign of the Russians apparently colluded.
Yeah, we noticed the leaking right as things started turning really good for Trump on the economy and the shutdown. Then all the leaks came from the Mueller team. Congressman King, thank you so much. Great set.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. The moment we've all been waiting for. Here we have late-breaking news that actually happened at the conclusion of today's show. This is very important information. I'm just going to make some adjustments here, so just bear with me. I'm going to go right to the screen here, open up just as if we're on our regular show. I don't have any graphics set up or anything like that, but guess what? We don't need any of that. We're going to do this. On the fly. It's important, late-breaking news, and it comes off of Infowars.com. Go Alex Jones. Okay, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, if an outlet like Infowars, he's been spending decades preparing, I believe, for this type of a moment, to get the exclusive. As follows. Infowars releases a secret FISA memo. Here's the reported memo leaked to Infowars. This comes right off the wire. Thank you. Jeremy actually just texted me with that. We were about 5 minutes from finishing the VPN video that we did at the conclusion of this episode. But if you're joining us right now, I'm Pete Santilli with the Ready Room, and we broadcast that between 11 and 1, and then we did a special 15-minute presentation. We were live, and I had to restart the streams here so that we can get to this, and we're gonna review this with you live on the stream. I actually have a copy of the document. We're gonna read this. This is a historic moment. literally a historic moment. I don't even know what's contained in the memo, but I'm going to read it and I'm going to go through it. We're going to have a conversation about this. We're just getting it moments ago. We received this. I'm going to read it to you. William Benny, a former tech head of the NSA, contacted us this morning to send us the link to the reportedly classified memo that lawmakers said was a blueprint of how the Obama administration and the deep state spied on President Trump. See below, Benny breaks down what this memo means on InfoWars. And it was broken down on InfoWars, and I don't know how long this video is. We'll get back to it, but we're going to read the memo.
Doing that, they say there's two ways doing those who run the cables, basically, meaning AT&T. They own the cable, so they let them have access. And the other was the 702 program, where they went to the service provider.
We never restream. InfoWars does their thing. We can't keep up with them. They have just a monstrous operation. This right here for historical purposes. Me going directly to Infowars.com. There's no competitive thing going on here. He's actually established a very good working relationship with William Benny. He has a copy of the memo, and he's provided it to the public, and I have it right here on the screen. And we're going to read it. As a matter of fact, I did download a copy of it. And I'm going to open it up so that we don't have any margins, and I can give you guys a really good view of this thing. Okay, and we're going to read through it. And if you want to stay with us and have a discussion, of course, I would say for historical reasons, I want to make sure that we get this thing documented on our streams on Facebook, Facebook Live, on YouTube. All right, so stand by here. Like I said, just bear with me. I'm not fumbling through it, but here is the document. Here is the document. The United States Foreign Intelligence Service Court. This was April 26, 2017. Now, this line through this, top secret, no foreign, Orcon, SI, and there's a red line through it. I don't know who put that red line through it. I think it has to do with the fact that if you knowingly transmit something that has classified across the top, that's a crime. So as this may have been provided to Alex Jones, he's not knowingly transmitting. And I am hereby not knowingly transmitting something that's been classified. I'm actually pulling it from the public domain, from Infowars.com. So I'm not transmitting something that I knowingly, that I'm not doing it knowingly that it's classified. I would say as a matter of public interest, high public interest, and national security. Obviously, William Benny got a hold of this and provided it to Alex Jones, and Alex Jones better have some really good security around that building. I mean, seriously, this is the biggest thing he's ever done, right here. Memorandum, opinion, and order. I'm going to read through this to the best of my ability. These matters are before the Foreign Intelligence Services Court on the government's ex parte submission of reauthorization certifications and related procedures. I'm going to abbreviate some of this stuff as I can, which was filed September 26, 2016. And the government's ex parte submission of amendments, certifications ex parte. Ex parte means emergency, outside of the regular court calendar. It's ex parte. In a lot of cases, the other side doesn't get to sit in and have that confidential conversation with the judge. It's ex parte. All right. All right. Submissions will be referred to herein as 2016 certification submissions for the reasons explained below. The government's request for approval of the certifications and procedures accompanying blah, 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 amended. Submission is granted subject to certain reporting requirements. The court's approval of the amended certifications and accompanying. Okay, so this is not, as I'm reading through this is a 99-page document. This is not the 4-page summary of this.
The bottom line is they wanted Trump dead. They were planning an assassination. What were they planning? Do we know?
We don't know, but I don't think it's in this memo. I think that's something separate as to the text. Why? What are you hearing? Are you reading stuff in the chat room? Oh, okay. Where did that come from? Because I think that's a separate matter relating to the text.
Okay.
Yeah, the FBI text. Okay. So the initial certifications here, I'm going to skim through this. It's a 99-page document. I'm not going to read everything, especially the boring stuff, the legalese. 4 sets of minimization. Okay. Hold on a second. I'm going to back up. Each of the certifications submitted collectively here, initial 2016 certifications, was accompanied by the supporting affidavits of the National Security Agency's director, the director of the FBI, the director of the CIA, and the director of National Counterterrorism Center, the NCTC. 2 sets of targeting procedures for use by the NSA and FBI, respectively, and 4 sets of minimization procedures. That term you guys are going to become familiar with, the minimization procedures, from what I've been reading, but I'm not going to dig into it right now. For use by the NSA, FBI, CIA, and NCTC, respectively. The court was required to complete its review of these certifications within 30 days of their submission. What?
Well, I'm reading that this is not the 4-page memo.
It's not the 4-page memo. This is actually, the 4-page memo was an abbreviation of this.
Oh, it was an abbreviation.
It was a summary of this.
That is something we need to make clear right now.
Yeah.
The 4-page memo was
a summary of what I'm going to be reading through here.
Okay, great.
I'm going to skim through the 99-page document, but that 4-page memo basically summarizes what we're going to be able to extract here. I'm going to skim over some stuff, and then we're going to go back through it. But I think I can do this pretty well on the fly as we go through it, try to make sense of it. But guess what? The 4-page memo is somebody's interpretation of this document. Okay?
Okay.
It's someone else's interpretation. So we're going to read the document. And I could create a 4-page memo to say, this is what I found in these 99 pages, and it's disgusting. Okay?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The court has issued 2
I hope everybody understands that.
Yes, please understand that. So this is actually the FISA memo that was used to draft the 4-page summary. Okay? 4-page summation. Okay, so these footnotes, we're going to skim past that. All right. On October 2016, the government orally apprised the court of significant non-compliance with the NSA's minimization procedures involving queries of data acquired under 702 using U.S. person identifiers.
Boring.
Get into a Hyundai Elantra at the I Love Winter event. Don't pay for 90 days and get the heated features you...
Got a breaking news alert for you right now. An ex-Secret Service agent warning that the devastating FISA memo is set to expose Barack Obama. The hashtag going viral across the web right now, release the memo. Washington swamp creatures are in a state of panic right now. Joshua Kaplan at the Gateway Planet reports that they passed it. New York Representative Peter King's motion in the House Intel Committee to release the FISA abuse memo to fellow House members. Well, that's rocking Washington as we speak. Former Secret Service agent Dan Bongino, he warned that the release of the FISA report will destroy the image of his former boss, Barack Obama. Last week, Bongino, he called the Steele dossier firestorm the most explosive scandal. Take a look.
Meanwhile, members of Trump's transition team are stepping up their scrutiny of Mueller's investigation. They allege the Mueller's team illegally obtained Trump transition team documents, and they want more information on the employee they believe was involved in that. A lawyer for the president's transition submitted a Freedom of Information Act request, writing, quote, "The transition is requesting records demonstrating a career GSA attorney made false statements to the press in an attempt to cover up the unlawful seizure of transition documents by Mr. Mueller." Dan, why is this problematic?
Gosh, where do we start with this case? This is the biggest mess. I'm telling you, it's the most explosive scandal. It's getting ready to burst with this OIG report coming out now. But on this specific incident about the Trump transition record emails with GSA, why not get a warrant? I was a federal investigator for 12 years and a local police officer for 4. Well, worked with the police department for 4, 2 years as a cop. Why not get a warrant in the most consequential counterintelligence investigation in American history? Why not? Basically because this is a hoax. I said to you before the show, we're asking all the wrong questions here. The question du jour has been, what was the dossier used to get a warrant on Trump? Wrong question. Important question, but the wrong one. The real question is, why get a warrant at all? Why was the Trump team being spied on? Nobody has pointed out one single predicate crime to point out why Donald Trump's team is being spied on. Not one.
Exactly. Not one single crime has been pointed out to why Trump is being investigated. Now, Bongino tweeted out these points. He said, take it to the bank. The FBI FISA docs are devastating for the Democrats. The whole image of a benevolent Barack Obama they've disingenuously tried to portray is about to be destroyed. The real Obama, the vengeful narcissist, is going to be exposed for all to see. He said, my sincere apologies for the expletive, but SHIT is about to hit the fan. Former Obama administration is going to have a lot of explaining to do. Hashtag Obamagate. He continued, take this check and cash it. The Democrats are in a full-blown panic right now over the Obamagate scandal that's about to become a nightmare for them. Watch them all scurry like roaches when the lights come on. And he didn't stop there. He said, release the memo. Watch the rats run away like cowards they are. Your mind is about to be blown in.
Some people golf. You might have a snap. Oh wait, first let's count.
I build airplanes. When I built my first airplane, I was 6 years old. And I was trying to cut the parts out of balsas because they wouldn't get on. One of the things I look at first is outside to see what the weather's like. If it's not so good, it's downstairs and get to work on the airplane stuff. And if it's good, then I have this airstrip. I drive out there and I uncover the airplane, jump in, fire it up, and away I go. I really didn't get to fly in a real airplane until I was, I guess it was 14 or 15. I was scared, but it was exciting. I was hooked. To build your own aircraft and actually fly it in this magical realm, you've created something. And it's not just something that sits there. I would say the most important thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about retirement, keep healthy, keep active, keep going. Then, on top of that, if you have an area that you want to spend a lot of time and money, set up some sort of entity where you can put the money and put it aside, like pay yourself. If I hadn't saved for retirement, well, I certainly wouldn't be building airplanes. My name is James Neely. For fun, I build airplanes and then I go fly them.
Eyes open to the power of the federal government and the vengefulness of an Obama administration hell-bent on destroying Trump. Yes, my friends, this is doomsday cometh for Barack Obama. And Bongino's absolutely right. It is going to burst. So you know what to do right now. This is the call to action we are issuing today. Keep the pressure on until this memo is released immediately. I want you to call, I want you to first share this report with the hashtag. The hashtag is, where'd it go? There it is. The hashtag release the memo. And then I want you to call Capitol Hill immediately at 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. Call them immediately. Tell the switchboard that you want to be connected to your representative in Washington, D.C. Keep the pressure on until this memo is released. The American people have a right to know. Comment below with your thoughts, subscribe for updates, and if you like what we're doing here, give us a thumbs up. Remember, mash that share button. Participate in this viral truth storm that is taking the internet.
Well, Judge Andrew Napolitano, Fox News senior judicial analyst. How you doing, Judge? Good day to you. Basic questions. Do they make it public, yes or no?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I've been arguing for a week now that it should be made public. It should have been made public while Congress was debating whether or not to expand FISA authority. Because if Congress knew of the alleged abuses of FISA, that's the government's ability to spy on us, by the NSA, our domestic spies, and by the intelligence division of the FBI, they might not have expanded FISA the way they did. So you have 535 members of Congress voting to expand FISA. Only 22 of them, the members of this House Intel Committee, were aware of these abuses. Not only should it come out, it should have come out.
You allege that this was misconduct on behalf of those who voted on, but they did change the law a little bit. There were adjustments to it.
They expanded it. They expanded spying authority. They didn't contract it. I don't know what would have happened had this come out.
Okay.
Should it come out?
Still, though, do you think they make it public?
Yes, I do. The reason I do is because the Republicans dominate the committee.
Of Deutschman Law, we believe that you and your family should be treated fairly. Having to fight with your insurance company at a time when you need them most just isn't fair.
And the president says he will authorize it. Now, why does he have to authorize it? Because there are top secret materials in there. And only the president can declassify that which has already been classified as top secret. So we're talking about two things here. We have a memo, a 4-page memo, written by 3 or 4 members of the committee. Trey Garrett, he is one of the drafters. It's based on hundreds of other documents. Will we see the hundreds of other documents on which this memo is based? Because if we don't, you can bet that Congressman Schiff and the Democrats will come up with their version of these hundreds of other documents.
So you're arguing put it all out there
Yes.
and just let it fall?
Let the honest public decide.
New York Times this morning on screen. Secret memo hints at a new Republican target. Rod Rosenstein. That's the title now for the New York Times piece. What is this all about?
This is about the president's recognition of the fact that the Justice Department is essentially being run by its number 2 person, not by the Attorney General. Attorney General is Jeff Sessions, appointed by the President, confirmed by the Senate. Rod Rosenstein is the Deputy Attorney General, number 2, appointed by the President at Attorney General Sessions' recommendation and confirmed by the President. The President does not like the way the Justice Department is being run. Example, the memo that we're talking about, prepared by the House Intelligence Committee, guess who doesn't want it out there? The Justice Department. Well, wait a minute. The President wants it out there. The Justice Department works for the President. How can the Justice Department defy the President? That's what's going on with this.
Okay, we'll see what happens perhaps today or today. You think we will?
Well, they're meeting at 5 o'clock this afternoon, so like tomorrow morning or late tonight, I think we'll know what the
We've been here for weeks now as to whether or not the president should talk about my wife. Newt Gingrich earlier today said this with the guys.
My strongest advice to Douglas is to never be interviewed by Mueller. There are the dangers inherent in having all those high-priced lawyers who spent a year now digging up everything they could dig up. The danger he has of giving them an answer which doesn't fit their other material is enormous.
Well, that from Fox and Friends earlier today, and you have made your case as well.
Why turn every arrival into an entrance? Because why keep a low profile when you can raise the bar? The 2017 Cadillac Escalade. Cadillac, dare greatly.
Ken Starr, who prosecuted Bill Clinton, was on TV over the weekend. He was suggesting already that the president was lying. If it is proven that he did not order the firing of Bob Mueller, you profoundly disagree with that position of a former special
Yes, I say that with deference because Ken Starr is a well-regarded judge and a personal friend of mine for 30 years. He suggested on ABC News over the weekend that if President Trump was lying about whether or not he ordered the firing of Bob Mueller, that lie is an impeachable offense. I respectfully disagree. If a public official lies, the remedy is at the ballot box. It is not impeachment. Lying not under oath and not in an official government inquiry is not a crime and is not a basis for impeachment and never has been.
Why do you think he said that?
Because the whole Clinton investigation was based on whether or not Bill Clinton had lied.
During a deposition, though.
Yeah.
It's an entirely different matter when you have it in a private conversation as opposed to under oath.
Agreed. The president had a conversation with members of the press. He can say whatever he wants, and the remedy is, does the truth support what he says, or does the truth contradict what he says? And the public will decide what to do when he runs for re-election. The remedy is not to prosecute him for lying. That would destroy the government.
Do you agree with Gingrich right there?
I fully agree with Gingrich right there.
You would.
I didn't know where he went to law school. He sounded terrific.
Thank you, Judge. Talk to you real soon.
All right, Phil.
Welcome back to Hannity. Gary Byrne, the former Secret Service officer who served in the Clinton White House, released a scathing new op-ed about Hillary's health entitled, "I Protect the Women in the Secret Service. Here's why her fainting video really scares me." Joining us now to explain more is the man himself, the author of Crisis of Character, former Secret Service officer Gary Byrne. Also with us tonight, author of the upcoming book, Guilty as Sin, Ed Klein is with us. Gary, let's talk about it. Why? Tell us about this op-ed.
Hi, Sean. How are you? When I saw Sean, the reason I wrote the op-ed was what scared me was that they clearly misinformed the I am not a medical expert, as you know. I am an expert in observation, and I'm also an expert on procedure. And the first scene you see in that video, Sean, of Mrs. Clinton, where she's leaning up against the ballot, clearly her body is stiff. And the few seconds that it shows her standing there, her head keeps raising further and further back. The woman on the left-hand side, the staff member, has her hand underneath her arm, clearly trying to help control her and support her. When the van pulls up, everybody who's ever gotten into a vehicle, a taxi, a van, watch Mrs. Clinton's action as the van pulls up. She stares straight ahead. She doesn't even acknowledge that the van is there. And then the African-American agent walks around to the van, so he opens the door and then steps back and grabs Mrs. Clinton's left arm. The bald agent, who I believe is a ship leader, does something that's pretty unusual. He walks between the open van door and the protect gate. And the reason he does that is because he knows she can't move without his help. Then he takes her right arm, then the woman behind her grabs Mrs. Clinton in both armpits, and they all start moving her towards the van.
And she's still
as they move her to right. As they move her, Sean, you can see she loses complete control to support herself. And then they pull her into the van as they're pushing her into the van, and they're so quick to try to get away from people seeing this that they actually move so fast that her shoe fell off, and they left it on the sidewalk and on the street, and somebody picked it up and handed it to the agent in the follow-up vehicle. This disturbs me greatly.
Are you worried at all about the Secret Service's handling of this? I mean, I hate to be critical of them. I do have my pin up here, and they do a good job, and they put their life on the line for all of our national leaders, and it's an important job. We've got to protect them. But there seemed to be a circle that covered what was going on.
Right.
Like
so
I
that's
covered Ed
standard
Space
procedure.
Yeah.
So that's standard procedure. Everything they did was spot on to the training. I literally, as you know, I was a Uniform Division officer, but I worked at the training center, and I literally used to help train the agents in some of these skills. And everything they did was correct. Don't forget, they're not just protecting. What they did wasn't unusual. They weren't really protecting Mrs. Clinton from a video camera. They're protecting her from somebody with a gun. It's all about assassination.
Okay, look, but you're saying there's something seriously wrong with her. Now, there's a book by Dr. Connie Mariano. Do you remember her?
I do. I remember well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, apparently she was the White House doctor for the Clintons. Quote, I assigned a female nurse in civilian attire to accompany Hillary on the campaign trail. I notified the Secret Service she was on medication. In the event she was injured, excessive bleeding would be dangerous. And Hillary had lied at that time, telling her staff that she had pulled a muscle rather than saying she had a blood clot. So this would not be the first time, correct? Did you know that?
No. Yes, actually I did. I don't remember from the time, but I've learned it since then. And I do remember she was actually a Navy doctor, Dr. Mariano. She was a captain when I met her, and she retired as a one-star admiral. Listen, none of this surprises me, Sean. And I realize they just supposedly released their medical record. The first thing I listen to is their language. We're releasing medical records. I don't believe a thing on there. Based on what I've saw over the years, for instance, Mrs. Clinton first claimed after the Benghazi attack that it was a video, and you go back to her husband claiming that he did not have an affair with the intern Monica Lewinsky. I don't believe a thing out of their campaign's propaganda.
Yeah. All right, Ed Klein, you know that most voters doubt Hillary is telling the truth about her medical condition. And Bill Clinton now says she frequently collapsed. He actually exposed that. You got the video of her, remember, going up the stairs and fibrillating, and she could barely walk upstairs. You have another Democratic politician saying, yeah, I gave a speech for the Senate from the White House, and saying she could barely walk up to the podium for crying out loud. And then there was another point where Hillary admitted she had collapsed a few times. She's perfectly fine except for pneumonia. Pneumonia, that's a problem. They don't tell the truth, so I don't believe anything that their doctor is putting out. Because they get any doctor feel good to say anything they want.
Now, I've been over 2.5 years reporting on her health, as you know. And I've been speaking to friends and associates who tell me when they visit Chappaqua, where the Clintons live, Hillary frequently faints or swoons. That when she sits down, she has to put her legs up because she's worried about blood clots. That she has Huma Abedin bringing her cold compresses all the time. This is a woman who, what we've seen, this video, is just the tip of the iceberg of something that's been going on for a long time.
I agree with you, and the problem here is, the media is so dishonest and so corrupt and so in the tank for her that they advanced the phony narrative. Oh, it was so hot outside. It was 75 to 77 degrees and breezy. That is not hot.
And pneumonia doesn't make you
There's
faint.
one more thing.
Also.
True. Yeah.
Yes, baby.
There's one more thing I'd like to point out. If you saw anybody else show the same behavior that we saw Mrs. Clinton show, standing there leaning up against that ballard, the Secret Service would have taken them immediately to the hospital. So what that tells me is that whatever's wrong with her, they appear to be treating it, and the service knew she was going to get treatment, either in the van or at the family member's apartment that they went to. If anybody else behaved like that, you would immediately take them to the hospital.
I agree, and Ed, that's she has control. They've got in the car, and I would argue that the New York Post had it right. The reason she didn't want to go to the hospital, because then she would have to disclose what her real condition is, and they don't want to tell the American people the truth.
I still think that it's certainly possible, yeah. But what happens if she now gets back on the campaign trail and she faints again a second time?
There'll be another set of lies.
All right, guys, thank you very
There'll
much.
be another set of stories.
At the very minimal. All right.
Yeah.